Hey, what's up, guys? Patrick Lovell coming at you on Monday night, March 27th at approximately 9 p.m. my time. And I can't hold back. And, before I launch into this, I've got to say thanks. I just happened to discover tonight to a whole bunch of people that have been commenting on our truth bombs on YouTube. And most of you have been very supportive, and a couple of you have said it's never going to happen. And, maybe in that spirit, I'm going to dedicate this truth bomb to you. So, what happened today? Well, yet another freaking disaster in American society based on the failure of just common sense to rein in just simple gun regulation such that depraved individuals can walk into school and murder children. I don't know what that says to you about our society, but to me, it says that we are a train wreck of just disgusting, base level, swamp level mentality and cowardice that allows this stuff to go on and on and on. The only thing I can say in response to this is that I hope the legislatures who are getting money from the gun lobby to basically, suppress any sort of regulation, common sense regulation. And I'm somebody who does support the Second Amendment, but at the same time, not to get assault grade weapons in the hands of the deranged to murder children. And it pisses me off. And all I can hope is, and I'll ask the question at the same time, why don't any of these deranged people ever decide to go tee off on somebody inside, the offices of the NRA, for example, or anybody that, supports, this easy to get gun legislation? Why do they target children? Have you ever thought about that? I mean, my God, it's so despicable. It's so wrong. It's so disgusting. It infuriates me, and that's just the beginning of why I have to comment tonight. But, first and foremost, I got to just say this, look, I'm going to hit this as hard as I possibly can, and I don't know how long I'll be able to go with this, but I've got to somehow register and trigger in you that I'm the guy that you want to support and that you need to invest. And this is why. So, for example, I'm, taking in some of the, prime time sort of news of the day just to kind of see what these guys are saying and how they're saying it. And, one of the stories that popped up was, all things that happened with Trump down in Waco and just the debauchery of insanity and stupidity that bloviating pig face, puked up on all of his supporters, which is just mind-numbingly disparaging along the lines of what I just talked about with the idiot non-regulation of assault grade weapons, for example. But Trump can literally lie his face off, not saying anything of any sort of usefulness at all in any way, shape, or reason, and basically just spell out a bunch of lies and use the whole thing as some sort of PR deal, to try to get people to buffer between themselves and him based on him breaking the law. Along those lines, I mean, how ridiculous does it get when we're looking at just again, all of this sensational coverage of what is just absolute stupidity. I mean, it does remind me, it always has, of growing up in the 80s, for example, and going to, through a grocery store and seeing on the stands some sort of stupid headline that's from, the National Enquirer, and you just look at it and laugh, right? I mean, it was always ridiculous. But here we have, the former editor-in-chief of the National Enquirer, who's going to go on and potentially be, subpoenaed or, take the stand in the Stormy Daniels situation. And his name is David Pecker. Okay? I mean, all of this stuff is just so fucking ridiculous. It's so gross. But at the same time, Donald Trump can step up to the podium and freaking these idiots that will, follow him to the ends of the earth and, off the fucking cliff, they will spend money like crazy on this buffoon. I think he got $1.5 million for that stupid fucking shit up to his fucking brains, discussion last Saturday. And, people are like, oh yeah, let's sign me up, man. I'm all in on Trump. Are you fucking kidding me? How stupid do you have to be? Well, I guess you're the same type of people that would buy the National Enquirer and take it home and go, wow, look what's happening in the world today, right? Now, in addition to that, though, if that's not enough, I mean, that's incredibly infuriating. But, I mean, my God, I'm watching Lawrence O'Donnell earlier tonight. I've got a lot of great respect for the guy. And, of course, he puts on, being from Massachusetts himself, he's going to, kick off Senator Elizabeth Warren's, campaign launch for her third consecutive, trip to the Senate. And, the big topic of conversation tonight between them was the Fed. You know what does she say? Just the same kind of stuff she's always said. Platitudes woman. Now, those of you who have, been frustrated with Miss Warren, I mean, look, the bottom line is I would have voted for her and Bernie together, but we all know that she definitely turned the tables and betrayed Bernie back in 2020. But beyond that, I mean, Miss Warren, God damn it, she met with the people that I show you on the con, www.thecon.tv. That's one too many W's. Sorry about that. Long and the short of it is, she meets with she doesn't even meet. She has her staff meet, and I was there with William K. Black, the greatest criminologist and regulator in the history of the United States, maybe the history of the world. And, he's the guy responsible for 30,000 criminal referrals and 1,000 convictions in the S&L crisis. That was 180th the size of the great financial crisis. And then he's alongside Richard Bowen, and Richard Bowen was the hero at Citigroup who knew about the $90 billion a year Ponzi scheme grift of Citigroup that he tried to stop single-handedly as the chief underwriting officer for Citibank. And he goes to his boss and his boss's boss and then the board of directors and then eventually to none other than Robert Rubin, former Secretary of the Treasury of the United States, as well as former CEO of Goldman Sachs. And they basically all do the end round on him. They basically suborn his testimony. He even went to the FCIC, the Federal Crisis Inquiry Commission. He also went to the SEC and everybody that he could that were the ones to regulate this. And they all basically threw his information in the trash because they didn't want to come down on Citigroup or be the guys that would do the right thing that buried millions of people. And what was the outcome? Well, I'll tell you what the outcome was. Robert Rubin walked with $126 million, and Citigroup walked with $3 trillion for burying millions of Americans that Richard Bowen heroically tried to prevent. And what does Elizabeth Warren do? Well, she has them meet with the staffers. She ignores what they have to say until right before, the 2016 election. She threatens the Republicans because they were going after Benghazi that, hey, maybe we should let some information known about what really transpired that the Federal Crisis Inquiry Commission sat on that led to, this amazing getaway by Wall Street. And, of course, she just played politics with the whole damn thing. And then she spoke in platitudes ever since, okay? And let's think about Bernie, for example. Bernie, he was able to raise, $180 million back in 2016 after he said Wall Street's business model is fraud. And that was all possible because the Occupy Wall Street basically, crested a wave for him to ride and then ultimately told everybody what they wanted to hear, but he never went and told you the details. And then he pivoted and then he basically buried it and got in line with the DNC just like Elizabeth Warren did. And none of them have ever been telling you the truth like I am. And what I'm bringing is the largest revelation of the largest criminal conspiracy and cover-up in history that never ended. The Federal Reserve used Federal Reserve Act 13.3 to illegally pipe in $30 trillion to a bankrupt Wall Street that got that way because of their own freaking control fraud and racketeering, which is what we show you in the con at www.thecon.tv. And then ultimately, everybody got in on it. On covering it up. The media got covered up. Nobody's going to tell you what I'm telling you. And meanwhile, I'm, basically doing everything I can to convince you that if you invest $13 in me and millions of us come together, that we will create a tidal wave populist movement crusade to purge corruption. And we will, because none of these people are going to ever tell you the truth. Nobody's ever going to reveal to what I've got. And, the bottom line is, am I legit? You bet your ass I'm legit. You check me out. Go watch the goddamn series. Check out the new Untouchables. See who I worked with. I worked with the FBI, the DOJ, the Securities and Exchange Commission. I worked with the top AGs around the country. I found the only RICO conviction in the entire country. And what's going on now is like version 4 of what took place in 2009. With the run on the banks and then the bailouts and everything that's going on. All it is the theft of the actual, potential of the United States to go to fucking rich people to pay for campaigns. And they get everybody going every which way to Sunday, but they have nothing to do with the integrity of law. They have nothing to do with the promise of America and separation of powers. They have nothing to do except bury the American dream, which I am trying to resurrect. What do I gotta do to make you understand everything is on the line? If you believe in dignity, if you believe in liberty, if you believe in integrity, if you believe in sustainability, then join me to end tyranny. You do it with $13. Why? Because you gotta pay. That's just the way it works in the United States. Are you paying to fucking keep me afloat? Are you paying me because I'm like, need your money? No. Do you know what I brought to the table to get you this information? We spend millions. We spend millions of dollars and spend years and years getting this information that the entire fucking system of corruption has thus far been able to cover up and keep us, keep the lid on us. And that's why I'm shouting. Somehow I've got to penetrate the national consciousness to understand that the only way we can get a country back of by and for the people, away from the corruption of by and for the corporations that are stealing from the Federal Reserve, and I know exactly how they did it. And corruption births fascism! We've got to defeat both! Join me!